Starbase is in full swing testing his launch mount for his IFT-4. Blue Origin is expanding New Glen facilities. Some news about the science satellite Voyager 1, SpaceX extravehicular activity suit, and the rocket launches this week. Hi space fans, I'm Christophe Paget for the channel All About Space, and this is your Space News Update. This week at Starbase was very much about Stage 0, or the orbital launch mount testing ahead of the integrated flight test number 4 expected this month. The booster quick disconnect was fiddled with, followed by SpaceX fixing and playing with the Mechazilla arms and testing the newly added items to the tank farm. The launch mount was also being painted. A ground preparation at the tank farm is taking place right next to the existing berm, which I assume will be for a berm extension to protect the recent addition of rather fragile vaporizers. The second Mechazilla tower ground is being reinforced with the creation of underground concrete pillars near the sign Gateway to Mars, where a brand new parking lot was tarmacked, by the way, and now demolished. And the recent construction of the concrete wall was demolished as well to allow access to build the Mechazilla tower. Anyway, with super heavy booster thrusts, these walls will have no chance to stay upright. SpaceX's speed of change is so fast that the infrastructure does not last very long at Starbase, and talking about Mechazilla, 2 of the tower sections and tower arms are being fitted with equipment from Kennedy Space Center in Florida this week. The production site also has been progressing, with the parking lot seeing its second level. SpaceX here wants to get rid of the parking bays along Highway 4 and consolidate it behind the high bay, with a planning permission for a 5-story tall parking lot in the view highlighted in this satellite view from NSF Partners. The construction is rather quick because it is assembled from prefabricated concrete shapes. The satellite images also show the rest of the Star Factory being built, making the Star Factory a really large square-shaped beast in front of the assembly bays. The offices are being shown on the lower right corner of the view and will finally have a U-shape. The Star Factory glass windows by Highway 4 is progressing, nearly covering all the facade. I mentioned last week about Booster 13 upper and lower tanks cryogenically tested separately, but this week SpaceX finally conducted both tank cryogenic tests concurrently. Ship 30 then left the Mega Bay number 2 to join the suborbital Pad B. Several tasks were carried out inside of it prior to the test campaign. It has then gone through a short cryogenic tests and static fire of its 3 Raptor sea levels and 3 Raptor vacuum engines. What was peculiar is the Ship 26, which does not have fins nor thermal tiles and now has even extra stringer reinforcements around the payload area, was sent to the Mega Bay number 2 for engine fittings and then was sent to Massey site for future tests. We don't know what is this Ship 26 for exactly. We can obviously speculate, but I shall refrain from this and leave you to your own imagination. The Starship number 29, to be used for this month's flight test number 4, has had more thermal protection tiles bonded to its structure. Something I don't often speak about is the progress on Blue Origin and his New Glen factory. You can see on your screen a large building site in Kennedy Space Center for factory building expansion and parking zone. Lots of holes are being drilled to reinforce the factory foundations. You can even spot a New Glen second stage on a test stand, along with an unfinished first stage hardware wrapped up in a plastic film. In September 1977, a NASA satellite called Voyager 1 was sent into space on board a Titan Centaur rocket with the aim of observing beyond all the planets of our solar system. It flew close to Jupiter in 1979 and Saturn in 1980. It is the most distant spacecraft ever sent. It has a little sister, Voyager 2, taking a longer interstellar route. Voyager 1 is currently at 24.3 billion kilometers or 15.1 billion miles from Earth, which corresponds to 0.0026 light years. Sadly, in November 2023, Voyager 1 stopped sending readable science and engineering data from its 5 science equipment. After months of work and troubleshooting from NASA JPL team has cracked the issue, corrected it, and now the craft is once again sending usable data on its way to its interstellar mission. The issue was tied to one of the spacecraft's 3 onboard computers called the Flight Data Subsystem, or FDS. So the FDS is responsible for packaging the science and engineering data before it is sent to Earth. Now, the team discovered that the single chip responsible for storing a portion of the FDS memory was not working. Unable to repair the chip, the team decided to place the affected code elsewhere in the FDS memory, but no single location is large enough to hold the section of code in its entirety. So they devised a plan to divide the affected code into sections and store those sections in different places in the FDS. So well done, NASA JPL, for salvaging Voyager 1. In the last bit of space news, you may remember the SpaceX mission called Polaris Dawn, aimed at rapidly advancing human spaceflight capabilities by demonstrating new technologies and conducting extensive scientific research to expand the knowledge of humans adapting, living, and working in space. Now, the first of 3 missions is to fly a Dragon capsule in a highly elliptical orbit, where the tip is at 700 km altitude, and test SpaceX extravehicular activity suit. This will effectively be the first ever commercial astronaut spacewalk. The SpaceX suit seems much sleeker or thinner than other EVA suits from NASA or Roscosmos or even from Axiom, as you can see on your screen. Now, of course, the main difference here is that SpaceX is intending to tether the suit with environmentally controlled oxygen/nitrogen and pressure from the Dragon capsule, which is why you do not see a bulky backpack since it is managed by the Dragon capsule itself. A major advantage, though, is the head-up display available on the astronaut visor. And the last benefit of such a SpaceX design is the low complexity and ability to produce a large volume at low cost, an enabler for future long-duration missions as life becomes multiplanetary, which is not the case at all for other available EVA suits today. I will mention more about the mission and crew closer to the launch expected in the 4th quarter of 2024. Moving on to the launches of the week, starting with SpaceX on May the 6th for another batch of Starlink satellites with a Falcon 9 for his mission group 657 from Florida. The first stage landed on the drone ship for the 15th time. The next day, was the turn of CASC with a successful maiden flight of his Long March 6C from China, launching 4 satellites as well. Another rocket type for CASC from already a very long list of rockets. Nevertheless, this Long March 6C is lighter, safer for the environment, and more powerful rocket than the Long March 2C or even 2D, which the latter have been used at least since 1982 until now. However, the Long March 6C comes with slightly more payload capability than the Long March 2C or 2D. So well done CASC for his new sibling. On May the 8th, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 with another batch of Starlink satellites from Florida for his mission Group 656. His first stage flew for the 3rd time and landed on a drone ship. The next day, another CASC launch of his Long March 3B for his mission Smart Skynet 101 from China. In summary, since January and May the 9th, 2024, the total amount of successful rockets sent to space is 87, with this week US company having sent successfully 54 rockets and China 20. How better end an episode than with a colorful nebula from our beloved Hubble Space Telescope? Today we are looking at the Fishhead Nebula for its obvious look, although it is also known by the boring designation IC 7095, a star-forming region in the northern constellation of Cassiopeia. Hubble's colorful cosmic portrait features glowing gas and obscuring dust clouds, where blue corresponds to oxygen, green to hydrogen, and red to sulfur atoms. The nebula is located just over 6,000 light-years away, or 57 quadrillion kilometers or 35 quadrillion miles from Earth. At that distance, the nebula spans about 70 light-years across. Thank you for watching this video. I wish you a good week. I am Christophe Paget. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.